welcome to Layback with Betfair. Joined by the A-team, we're back. Hello and welcome to another episode of Layback with Betfair. Huge weekend of racing coming up. Cox Plate Qualifier Day, headlined by the Feehan Stakes. We've also got the Run to the Rose at Rosehill Gardens and a great black type of racing up there to look at today. It's just myself, Nick Foot, the host, the equine genius Liam Clancey. We're two out today, mate. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Footy. I like to think it's a bit of a Thursday date night for us sitting out here. Both in the green, both having a good few weeks, and so we decided to sack Reese off for, who's he got running today?
Laboriosa at Cranbourne. I've been monitoring that race very closely to see if it was worth it, but good luck to him. But yeah, it's just the dream team today, mate, so I'm very excited to have a look at this, what is a huge weekend of racing and lots of great horses going around to get stuck into. But let's just quickly reflect on last week, Clance. Big weekend results-wise for the layback team. Also might get you to touch on some of the bigger in-play betting results that occurred over the course of the weekend on Memsie Stakes Day.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the most interesting one that everyone will find will be the one that knocked us all out of the Randwick Quaddie, which was race 8, Navajo Peak in the Group 2 Chelmsford. BSP $80, managed to get out to 95 in the run, and then stormed over the top and actually won rather impressively.
I must say I did find funny the Baron of Betfair, Tom Haylock himself, was tweeting up a storm and crying all his tears everywhere because he had Navajo Peak won as marked from the trials to watch. So, well, if you can't get online overseas while you're sunbaking in, well, I don't know where he is at the moment, Santorini, maybe?
Lake Como.
I
reckon he's swatting himself around the lake. And sometimes that's just what you get. The other one was in the Heatherley at Caulfield, race 6. Solcombe, which obviously was so fantastic in the spring of last year, really stamped itself as a possible contender for the big cups, was $27 BSP, got out to 220 in the run. So that was probably the biggest one of the whole weekend across the metro venues. And then we move on to the minimum in-place losers. And these ones actually surprised me a touch because I've watched them back since and I never thought they were particularly going to win. But I think because they both finished so strongly, I think that must have been why the punters sided with them. It was Bella Nipotina in the Concord, got into as short as $1.15, ended up running third behind Remark and who's run second in that race? We'll come back to that. And then in the Memsie, I Wish I Win, huge turn of foot. I don't know how Nolan gave him as good a run as he did, but it looked like came out just at the right time, got into $1.16 and managed to get chinned as well. So plenty of in-price movements on the exchange.
Yeah, it makes you really think about coming into this weekend too, like the win of Solcombe. When I was looking through the form of the Feehan and looking at runners coming back on a Cups campaign, I was thinking twice about what I mark them as and whether I entertain them, the likes of Goldman, etc. So it's put a bit of fear in me for this week, actually, Clance, but we'll move on. We'll head to the lay bin now and throw over to you there, Equine Genius. What do you want to chuck in the bin and has disgruntled you this week?
Do you know what? It's been building up for 3 weeks now because this time of year, obviously, we see all of the good horses starting to come back. And I love my New South Wales form, so it's very simple on Racing New South Wales. They're all part of official trials. They're all very well lit trials, and you can see them. They're all in their race day silks. It's really nice. Then in the last few weeks, I'm trying to find all of these jump outs. To racing.com's, what they've been doing really well is all the jump outs are now available so you can see them all. The problem is they're so dark, they're shoddy footage, they're in the wrong silks. You click on the jump outs and you're looking for the horse. It's in at different silks. It's nothing to do with race days. It's just impossible to actually find who's going through the jump outs well and who's not.
I got vertigo looking at a couple. It might have been Mornington jump outs. I think they were filmed on someone's iPhone 3 from back in 2010. I'm not quite sure, but I agree. It's one of those things too, and like look, it'll never happen, but how good would just one full racing hub be where it's just all your jump outs, all your trials, all your noms, just in just one nice place for the people that are just trying to find a winner?
Yeah, PBL won't let that happen.
No.
Absolutely no chance.
Ever. No, it's a very good lay-in, and I'm glad I could somewhat double down there because I got nothing for you this week. But we will move into the Valley card now, Clance. Look, there was some showers around. I think there was hail forecast at one stage for today. We've got finals footy in Melbourne. There's something about it. Spring is obviously here. The Rail True, good for. What can we expect race day?
Well, it's one of those ones. I think I actually got sunburnt this morning when I was expecting. I was expecting to bring the umbrella out and duck the cover. But as with the Valley, generally you want to be up on speed. But I'm really going to be waiting till race day for a lot of the bigger bets. I'm going to have a couple of early ones, but for the main bets, I'll have to see what the track's doing because when the rain comes, it could just change things so much. We're expecting a bit of rain tonight, a fair bit of rain Friday, and then 1 to 2 mil Saturday. So if that comes during the meeting as well, could change things immensely. So keeping a few cards close to my chest at this point and see what happens on the day.
Yeah, well, I've done my form just in the Valley style, generally up on speed. Look, it might be off rails a little bit, perhaps with this rain around, who knows? But it's, yeah, we've just got to be flexible. And I think we've got a few two-bet plays and things like that where we're sort of limiting our risk as much as we can there. But we will head into race number 5, which is the listed Mackenzie Stakes for the 3-year-old boys, over 1,200 metres. Mate, we both sort of landed on the same one here. Speed map wise, introducing Brave Mead Stapati, all influences. Stapati's the boom horse. What are we expecting?
Yeah, Stapati, I'm expecting that he comes out and wins. The reason why is exactly what we've just touched on. This horse can sit handy, it can lead, and it does have that great turn of foot. So it's got that tactical versatility if required on the day. We've got 4 races before this. Johnny Allen's on board, knows the horse well. So he'll be able to just adjust on depending how the track is playing on the day. So I'm pretty happy to stay with Stapati. But what else I really love about this horse is every single time he comes to the races, he's improved his rating. He just continues to get better and better. And like we'll discuss this with Globe a bit later, but always beware of the unbeaten horse because we just haven't quite found the ceiling yet. So they can come out and improve lengths because we haven't seen it. And so looking forward, the only one I think who could pose a threat is Brave Mead, first up for Mara and Eustace. Zara on board, good booking there. Failed on a heavy 9, which is why I've lent away and quite happy to stick with Stapati, just dependent on the weather. But the Moonee Valley run over the 1,200 was actually a fantastic rating, rated up at 93 and a bit, which is well and truly enough to challenge Stapati here. I'm just going to take the sit that Stapati's probably going to get there first, and there's a lot more things in his favour. So 250, 260 currently this morning, with Heuristic, who I actually thought was a challenger, has been scratched this morning. So happy with that scratching. I think we're getting a reasonable price. Yeah,
you mentioned beware of the unbeaten horse, which I think is a really, I might quote that up and put it on the wall here at Layback. There's one here that's Centrefire, who you can't underestimate because the performance of this colt going from a bottomless deck at the Bull, where Ben Allen just walks out of the Winnebago in his undies to ride it to win for fun, and then goes to winning against the bias at the Valley last start on a good 4. Like, that's a huge performance. So I'm interested to see it's in the right camp, Kieran Maher, David Eustace, where this runner can get as well. So there's a little bit of intrigue. I think Amur is another runner who's one that could be some value in the race. Like, second up, comes through the same race as Centrefire as well. Had excuses when blocked, and the 400, SP'd $6, Centrefire SP'd $17 there. So you could entertain those two at a value, but I'm with you with Stapati. I just think he went to another level last time in those 2 Flemington runs, and he's one of those rare gallopers that can do it at both ends. So in his last start of a 1,400, they went some 6 lengths faster than the all benchmark, put him away in a few strides and was soft on the line. He looks something special for me. So Stapati for us to start with.
Might see him in the unit plays later on by the sounds of that.
Same page stuff right there. Let's head now to race 6, which is the Atlantic Jewel Stakes for the girls. 1,200 metres run under set weights. Troach won this race last year for James Cummings, Zuzarella back in 2021, and Night Raid for Team Price and Kent Jr. back in 2020. How are you assessing this race?
I thought this was a really tough one. One I'm not that keen to have a bet in whatsoever. Oz Empress probably goes forward and produced a fantastic effort last start when just tipped out by Inhibitions late. Meets that horse again here. Starts from gate 7, Inhibitions gate 6. So, just slightly leaning towards Inhibitions there again. Right to Party was unbelievable against the pattern last start. I think there's just too many unknowns in this race. Charmstone, obviously the class. I've got Charmstone marked favourite, but slightly longer than the market currently has.
Where does she get to in the run as well, Charmstone? So obviously drawn 9, Damien Lade on board. Pattern might be important, how the track's playing.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any scenario where he gets one off where she gets one off the fence. I think you're either pushing forward and you're 3 off the rail, or you've got to come back and make your run, as they turn past the school, and it's a pretty taxing run from there. Again, think that she's probably the best horse in the race, but can't go with her on this occasion. The only one that I could entertain backing early would be Willow's Ride Beauty Rising. This horse for Stokesy buck jumped at the last start. Still went through the line reasonably well, but was out of the race in the first 50. So I gave her a chance on that day, and I'm not sacking her completely. We're getting $20 plus. I've got a mark $9.30 here, so right in the market. But I just think it's probably a bit of the too hard basket, this race.
Well, I'm gonna play in this race. I'm gonna have a bet. I think Pride of Sullivan, she's one that I want to follow, and she's a price sort of around $6.50, $7 corpse. She's probably the knock on her, and the reason she's that price is they maybe not to get the 1,200, but she comes through a really fast run, 1,000 metre race. It went 7.4 lengths faster than the all benchmark to the 1,000 and sat wide without cover throughout. The eventual winner of that race was Lakota Fire, who had her back and just had the better run in the end going past her. So she's been kept fresh since. Draws soft with Mickey D aboard, which I think is really important. I think she's sort of over the odds and you can entertain her. The other I'm going to have a really small play at is Treasureway for Jason Warren. I love the booking here of Jamie Carr, drawn 1. She was a walking bronze medal in her first prep. She ran third 5 times on the trot prior to breaking through in the Group 3 Breeders' Stakes at Morphettville. Her 900 metre jump out at Mornington in behind Giga Kick, I don't know if you've seen it, Clancey, was a serious eye catcher. Drawn barrier 1 here, obviously J Carr. Does map to go back, but if J Carr shows any intent from barrier 1, I think can run a bit of a race at a pretty big price. And there's already been some early support in the market since opening, so that'll be my play in the Atlantic Jewel for the girls. Race number 8 is the Group 2 McEwen Stakes, weight for age. Rothfire won the race last year. Other notable winners include Nature Strip back in 2018, Chautauqua in 2015, and Miss Andretti back in 2006. So it's a fast race for fast horses, Clancey, and Rothfire, Zoo Style, one of ours, Acromantula, Cerades, How's the Serenity from 1. They all look speed influences. Leaves the like of Giga Kick and Imperatriz to settle in behind what looks like a pretty hot speed.
It does. And then if you rewatched this race last year, Zoo Style pings to the front. Rothfire just sort of takes a sit outside and then just goes past at the last post. Was really strong late, which is semi-unusual for Rothfire over the 1,000, but always does run really well first up. Zoostyle and Rothfire, funnily enough, had a Doomman jump out just a couple of weeks ago, and they did the exact same thing. They gapped the rest of the field, Zoostyle to the front, Rothfire outside, Rothfire went past on the post. Seems to be going just a touch better. Not getting any younger. Rothy's still only 6, but Zoostyle's now an 8-year-old gelding. It's one of those races where you can just see it setting up really nicely for Giga Kick, and he's just a winner. Looks to have come back super, and the only thing I will say is if they're ever going to beat him, it'll be 1,000 metres at the Valley on pace bias, and that's what we could see here. So even money, I'm probably going to leave alone. You've got Imperatriz at the 1,000 for the first time. Sensational ratings profile. This runner only runs well. draws widest, goes back, bigger fish to fry later in the prep. And then you got Rothy, who's probably here to win. Won this race last year, as I mentioned. And then I'm just imagining here that Rothfire at 250, 260 to run top 2. It's probably a bit more value because you know he's going to be there and you know he's going to be running through the line strongly.
You happy with his last prep? Like first up 1,000 metres, beaten 3 lengths by Spirit of Boom, listed level.
Yeah. So that was obviously up in Brisbane, that prep, and then went through like second up over the 1,200, went through its gears. But I think Shin on board today or Saturday, I think he'll be here to win, and I think he'll go really well.
Excellent. So having a little top 2 sort of play there on Rothfire, giving no third dividend. Don't mind it. I like where your head's at with that, and I've got probably a lay bet that sits similar to that. Look, I'm siding with Giga Kick. Geez, I've been pretty straight bat at the moment with the likes of Stapati, Giga Kick. Got some value in there in the girls' race, but look, he's just the best horse in the race, and obviously bigger fish to fry. He's the best sprinter in the land. He has ticked the 1,000 metre box versus the market danger Imperatriz. How screwed down does he have to be to take care of this field, I guess, is the question, right? So you got to ask, what price are you willing to take? You know what? At even money, $2, I'm going to be happy to bet. So I'm going to back Giga Kick, and
does look pretty screwed down, judging by the trials as well.
It's done more public work than I've ever seen. I know there's a lot of hype around, but he seems to be going to the Valley for a jump out here in between runs, and there's a Mornington jump out. It's like it's been very well publicised, the amount of public work he's done. So I'm pretty keen, and in saying that, I'm going to double down and I'm going to lay Imperatriz to place. Yep. So top 2 being no third dividend, Imperatriz is $1.90 to place. Like first go at 1,000. Group 1 winner here, obviously at 1,200. Will likely settle behind Giga Kick. I think there's a few here, you've mentioned Rothfire, that can give a sight that she may not run by. So, and also the synthetical filler went on this morning. The stewards have tweeted out. So the cooler. So it's never a positive when you see someone in the market that has that going on ahead of a big Group 2 weight for age race. So that's how I'll be playing, backing Giga Kick, laying Imperatriz to place. Let's head now to the feature on the card, race number 9, the Group 2 Feehan Stakes, weight for age, over the mile, win, and you're in to the best weight for age race in the world. Mr. Brightside won it last year, Superstorm back in 2021. Humidor won it back in 2020 as an 8-year-old, if you don't mind. This is a fascinating race, Clance. The questions being asked at the moment, can Globe cope with the rising class? Look, he'll be the key speed influence. He'll have every chance first up at the mile. You've got Sabatou XL. I don't know what he's doing here, but he is, and he'll be a speed influence. You got the likes of Deny Knowledge, who is outstanding first up. She's fast. The market dangers, Tuvalu and Attrition. They'll probably be ridden a little bit more positively than they were in the PB Lawrence. I'd love to know if you're having a bet in this race and how you're assessing it.
Yeah, I'm not having a bet in the race. I think it's an incredibly tough one. I mean, of course, everyone is waiting for that next start to take the next step, and we've been blessed in recent years. And as I was saying earlier, these unbeaten horses, we love watching them go through the grades. Globe went from a benchmark 64 to a benchmark 100 in one go last start. Won both of them by 4 lengths. What he's doing so impressively is he's sitting up on an incredibly hot tempo. I think 2 starts back, they went 15 lengths faster than the benchmark to the 800, and then still kicked away and turned off late and still won by 4. And then went to the benchmark 100 and ran 16 lengths faster than the benchmark to the 800, which is just phenomenal figures. No horses can really do that and sustain it. So that's why he is such an exciting horse going forward. Obviously, this is a huge jump in class again. Has to do it against some of the best in the land. I think of the value in the race. I think of horses like Attrition. If you go back and look at that PB Lawrence, was caught 3 and 4 wide the entire trip, was gone at the 400, and then managed to run some of the best closing splits again and came once more.
Out of that race, what did you make? So Attrition and Tuvalu sort of went to the line together. Who would you take out of the PB Lawrence? If I had to give you, if I had to hold a gun to your head now, who would take you out of Attrition and Tuvalu into this race?
It was funny because I sort of pigeonholed them all in the same box for a while there with Tuvalu, Attrition, and Aegon. It was coming down the outside.
Aegon reeled off the fastest last 200 of the race and was huge.
Yeah. And I like first glance, I probably thought want to take Aegon of any of them out of that. But then I rewatched it and saw Attrition, how torrid his run was in transport. He's a 4-year-old improver. He's probably the one that I want to take out of anyone in that race, besides obviously the winner, which you don't find here. So if anyone's going to win from that race, I think Attrition. Pinstriped has gone well. I've got Pinstripe just marked ahead of Tuvalu here. Pounding also went well. Francesco Guardi, if we're talking these stayers resuming with higher, lofty ambitions in mind.
There's a little bit of talk about that run out of the Winx Stakes.
Oh, yeah. And this is just a really good horse and one that only realised its potential towards the end of last preparation. And that was out to 2,500, so still a bit to go in the tank to reach that. But has shown, obviously, that was a massive career peak on the heavy 8 at the Valley. So ticks a couple of really nice boxes there. I've got Globe marked a fair bit bigger than the market currently has. So I think he'd be one that I would be loving to take late or BSP if he gets out a bit further. Couldn't possibly touch at the moment, but how are you seeing it?
Yeah, I'm all in on the hype. Globe. You mentioned it. Like horses, aren't supposed to do this. Like in what he produced in the King's Coronation Cup over 1,800 metres last start. I understand he's first up here at 1,600, but he went 19.7 lengths faster than the all benchmark to the 600 and sprinted away from them and was soft on the line. So still reeled off the 4th fastest last 200 of the race under no riding. So he's a serious racehorse. Now, price is king here, right? So what price are you willing to take for Globe? Well, he comes to weight for age. He's up 8 kilos on that benchmark 100, which is the big thing. I think you'll get a better price on the day. So I'm backing Globe. I'm keen on Globe, but he's open he's open sort of 260, already out to 320 corporates. I think you're going to continue to get a better price. So I'm really keen on Globe. I'm all in on the hype. Along with Stepati, I'm really diving in today, aren't I? So I just think, you want to be with the best horse. I think he's the best horse.
Now, $13, $14 for a Cox Plate. You win this race, you're in. What price do you take? What prices does he come into if he wins? Bearing in mind you've got the favourite Romantic Warrior coming from Hong Kong at 420, so you're not going to be anywhere near that mark. Does he shorten much?
It's hard to say, and futures markets are one of those things that I've pretty much just got a self-ban on now, because you get to the point where there's just no value in futures markets for anything that has a clear line to that race anymore. Corporates want to limit their risk. They don't want to let you on for a lot. So you can get on something, say, even if it's like for an Everest. If you draw bad, you could end up starting more than what your futures price was 3-4 weeks out anyway. So I'm not interested, to be honest, in futures betting around hype horses because there's just no value and so much can go wrong. And, shout out to the Prize in Kent Junior team, but we've seen in their yard things go wrong for hype horses in the past, spider bites, etc. So for me, I'd be staying out of that market, but I'm a week-to-week proposition and I'm in on Globe this week.
BSP by the sounds of it. Try and get yourself about $4 if you may.
I think so. That's our look at the Valley so far, Clancey. It's time now to head into our What Caught My Eye segment, and I'm up this week. I've been kept on ice for this segment, but I've been given the tap on the shoulder from the producers and they said, bring something to the table. And there's been a little bit of talk around match racing. Obviously, the Giga Kick I Wish I Win match race that's being touted, and something that caught my eye was there's some match racing going on over in the UK, and a horse called Doom met Carmology at Ripon. Doom was a hot favourite here. £11,000 was matched at $1.01 for this runner. And as we can see, Doom flat to the boards. Carmology says, see you later. He was matched in in play at 110 to 1, if you don't mind, in a 2-horse race, Clance. I don't know who's diving in at the $1 in that.
I reckon it might have even been the commentator, because the race caller was supremely confident around about the 300 mark, and then the roughie just went zooming right by.
I might have to go back and look through that form and what gave Doom that sort of price heading into that 2-horse race, because, yeah, that's extraordinary. It's just another horror way to do your dough, really, for Doom backers, aptly named. We might head now to Ride of the Week, which is a brand new segment. Obviously, Prince of Pakenham, Maurice Goodwin, is away, so I didn't feel comfortable doing Trainer of the Week, Clance. So I thought I might do Ride of the Week, because Reece only rode Picnic, so I feel like I've got about as much expertise in this area. And
it sort of felt like he took today off hoping that we'd give him Trainer of the Week. He was thinking, I'm still yet to get it. I wonder if I leave the room whether they'll give it to me.
I don't think if he has like a double or a treble ever, I don't think he'd have any hesitation in awarding it to himself. If I know Reece reasonably well from one series of layback, that's probably my take. Sorry, Reece, that's probably a bit harsh. The Ride of the Week this week, though, for me, there's a little bit of recency bias in this one because it was yesterday, and it goes to Hot Nash Rawiller, for his ride on Abel Willie. So a little bit, I guess, context to this. Abel Willie's a couple of years out of the winner's circle, and you can see here that Hot Nash, just a really patient ride in behind there on the Kenzo, had been playing pretty on speed for the day and opened up, and he sort of punched that gap, and as Hot Nash does, and grazed the Taubmans on the paint on the side of the rail there, and got Abel Willie home at a nice price. Thought that was good. That was very Nash.
It was. I must admit, if anyone in the country, even when J-Mac's riding it, which is obviously not at the moment, he's the one I want on my horses. He's just so tough in a close finish.
Yep.
Not that this one was, absolutely bolted in the end. But, yeah, he's my favourite.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I feel like he's really riding for the punters, don't you? He gets the most out of his mount. Yeah.
I hope he's getting a good sling from it, because he's riding like he's on.
100%. Let's head now to Rosehill Gardens. We've got a cracking meet up at Rosehill. Rails true. Good for. Weather's fine. Usually when the weather's fine, you probably want to be forward of midfield somewhere. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, especially in those sprint races where they've only got that one really tight turn, especially over the 1,000 or 1,100 when they bolt to the corner and it's just a real tight turn and away they go. But always handy to be up on speed at Rosehill on a dry day.
Let's take a look at the Group 2 Shirako Stakes now. It's for the fillies and mares. It's race 6 on the program, 3-year-olds and upwards, 1,200 metres. Shades of Rose won this race last year. The Kiwi on Triviere back in 2021 and Haute Brion Her back in 2020. Speed Map's an interesting one here because you've got Cinderella Days, Queen of the Ball, I Am Me. They look to be the key speed influencers here. Be interesting to see if they sort of really cut each other up vie for the lead, or who sort of wants to sneak back and just take a little bit of cover.
Yeah, it's a fascinating one. Just some good names there you mentioned in the past. That Haute Brion Her just really struck it in everything.
Yeah.
I found this one quite interesting and hard to digest early, because if Queen of the Ball and Cinderella Days take that first and second like you think they would from those draws, 1 and 2, then I Am Me probably has a bit of a tougher race. If I Am Me gets to the front, it's probably race over from that point. I think she's just so good, does everything well, gets to the paint and then just kicks away on the turn.
Just
and
with I Am Me, how much obviously coming through the race that she won last start, there was obviously a fall, there's a bit of an unknown there. How much do you take that into consideration when considering I Am Me this weekend?
Yeah, great question. I think Big Parade was the one that went amiss and sort of knocked back everyone in the race. Yeah, you can draw lines through horses such as Dragonstone, who was out of the ruck and has run reasonably well since. But also the times don't lie, and it ran a really great time. It doesn't matter how well, it doesn't matter what's going on behind you. If you run the time, sometimes you just can't be beaten. What I will say is the horses such as Argentia out of that race, who was very negatively affected and has come out and run well since, crossed the line really well that day. That makes you think, okay, this is a solid form reference to continue going forward with. Having said all this, my bet in the race is actually going to be Zapateo. Could not be more primed for this, I don't think, for the first up assignment. Has had a couple of really nice trials. Those 1,200 metre wins in Sydney in the autumn, there was a Group 2 and a Group 3. Most recent trial was on Tuesday, just gone. Trialled with Buenos Noches, and geez, it looks good. So she's one that I think could just be one out of the box. Having said that, was 360 into 260 this morning. So someone out there obviously agrees with this. And now we're getting to the point where IME could become a bit of value if it gets to $3 plus. They're the two that I have so far cleared out from the rest of the field. Sunshine and Paris, 3rd pick, and Queen of the Ball, 4th pick. They're both double figures for me. So I'm going to be playing Zapateo, but I'm also going to be offering the new exactas that we've got on Betfair Exchange. I'll be going IME to beat Zapateo as a bit of a saver as well. So that'll be the 2 bets I'm having in the race, but the main one, Zapateo to win.
Huge. Well, I am taking you on Clancey head-to-head, and more for me maybe for taking you on the Equine Genius, but I'm with IME, and now that you've mentioned these prices, IME $3 plus, yes please, versus Zapateo, who's into 240. I thought that was a really strange move from James Cummings to have Zapateo trial on Tuesday. It's not something that James Cummings does, is trial his horses. I definitely haven't seen it the week of the run, and it was a nice trial, but what does that mean? Obviously being scratched from the Concord, is it, we just desperately need to get another run into this horse prior? There's a few question marks there, and at $2.40, that's complete rock bottom. So I'm going to be laying Zapateo, and I'm going to be backing IME. And look, she's one of mine. I've been with her since that she won that 78 at Flemington, and she hasn't disappointed punters that have followed since. So I truly believe she could be putting her hand up for an Everest with another big showing here. I think she's that much. She just keeps progressing, keeps hitting another level. I think she can be an Everest horse. So I'm keen on IME. I'm also just going to have a small bet on Zoo Gotcha as well in this race, that has dodged the Theo marks for this. SP 260 first up, over 1,100 in the Group 3 toy show, was beaten by Parasol, and she's the one that I think improves off that first up performance, where you have to say she was disappointing. Maps to get the run of the race, I think, in behind those three speed influences. Second up form's good, and the blinkers go on for the first time. So when you look at a Zoo Gotcha who's around $11, I'm just going to have a small play there as well, Clancey.
You ticked everything off. Obviously, that SP profile is very worrying. So someone out there with plenty of say in the market likes her. And then exactly as you say, blinkers first time, good draw, gets dry track. It's one that I'm worried of. She's one that I'm worried about. But I think these top two are so clear on a 1,200 metre race. I think once Zugotcha gets to the 1,400 and the mile, I think she'll be ready to strike. But just for now, I think the two sprinters will probably have it.
Yeah, well, we have walked past Group 1 winners too, haven't we? An Espiona here who's a price, and Sunshine in Paris who's a last start Group 1 winner as well, albeit over 1,400, Espiona over 1,500. So there's a few storylines everywhere in this race, but we're deep, we're in it, aren't we? So we're having a...
Espiona's not a big enough price, mate. Just keep her going out. She's got none.
A lot of haters for a Group 1 winner, hasn't she?
I can't remember.
It was that Cup day that when she blew them away, everyone just ever since.
I hate her because of the Coolmore that won the 1,500 metre race, but it was pride of Jenny. I was on that day at 50 to 1. It's nosed out by,
Yes.
a couple of whiskers, so I'll never forgive Espiona for that.
I have a good friend I do another show with who might have a very similar story there to you. Let's head to the Group 3 Ming Dynasty. It's a quality handicap for the 3-year-olds, over 1,400 metres. Golden Mile won the race last year, Coastwatch back in 2021, and Holyfield in 2020. Look, I personally don't like this race. It doesn't mean I'm going to completely stay out. I might just have the feathers out a little bit, hey, since last week.
Got a lot of units to play with.
The key form reference here looks to be the up-and-coming form, doesn't it, where Tom Kitten and Cap Kintyre come through. Is that going to be your key form reference heading to this, and how do you think, firstly, the race is going to unfold?
Yeah, for sure. I think Tom Kitten is a rightful favourite. He actually drops 2.5 kilos from that as well because of the set weights and penalties of that race, whereas this is the handicap. So barrier 15 would normally put a few people off, but he's going to get back anyway, so it's not going to stress him too much. I think NCAP's one of mine. Like, I love that. I love he's a great little horse. Obviously, Preble didn't give him much of a chance last start, but gets barrier 1 this time.
Whack.
Rosehill goes right back, and going to need a lot of luck. I can't believe that he's come up $4.60. I think, I'd need to see $7 or $8 to even entertain backing him. Tom Kitten, I'd probably need to see $5, $6 plus. It's just a big field, and they're going to need a bit of luck in running for that Rosehill, as we spoke about. The two that I'm going to play, big odds. I'm going to go to number 17, Raff Attack, and number 16, Cap Ferrat, or Cap Ferrar possibly. Raff Attack put up a great number last start over the 1550, so obviously has to come back to the 1400. But that was at Randwick, won really comfortably. I think Rachel King goes handlebars down here on Saturday, gets right across, goes to the front in a race that doesn't have a heap of speed, and he's been back. So yeah, he's been back to the trials since, and it actually trialled really nicely. Went through the line well. I think like $13, $14, really good price. We're also going to touch the 80-1 pop, which is Cap Ferrar.
Don't mind it.
Brisbane form obviously can always get overlooked, but has actually produced some really reasonable figures up there, and gets a plum draw here, has gone through the line really nicely in 2 exceptional trials recently. So I think we're getting a great price there. Again, the up-and-coming form is the one that you probably want to be with and probably wins the race. But at the bigger prices of double figures and even up to 80-1, the 16 and the 17 are the two I'll be playing.
Yeah, well, you speak of value, and I'm sort of going a real big price here. I'm going to just have a very small each-way play on number 9, Vomo Island. Not just because I had my honeymoon there, but because I just think there's something. I think there's something about this horse that's got a big race. He just needs to switch on, and he's a maiden. I've been following him since last prep. He ran 3rd to Tannhauser this track and trip last prep when 2nd up. Tannhauser's half the price here. He reeled off a figure that could be competitive in this race if he was to repeat that. He just looks a bit dumb and hard to switch on, but when he gets into gear, he can get quite hot through the line and past the post. So, look, I think you can. I've seen worse 61-1 shots than Vomo Island, so I'm just going to have a very small each way play. Don't have to have a lot on to get a big result.
Where is Vomo Island?
It's just off Fiji, just a nice little helicopter ride off.
Must be very nice.
Yeah, it was. Thank you. Race number 8, the feature on the card, the Group 2 Run to the Rose for the 3-year-old. Set weights and penalties, 1,200 metres. Cylinder short price favourite here for Godolphin. James Cummings, absolute stranglehold on this race, Clancey. In Secret, 2022, Animo, 2021, Bivouac, 2019.
Oh, how are those for 3 names?
Yeah, 3 names. And this is the thing, is Cylinder in that class of runner? And does the price of Cylinder, $2.10, bit of support around today, can he put his name in that book and add to the coming success in this race?
Yeah, it's a great question, because if he runs to his autumn form, then yes, he does have those figures, and he is that good, and he justifies the $2.10 quote and comes out and wins. But the first up rating in the Vane Stakes at Caulfield is a couple of lengths shy of his autumn form. So that brings the San Domenico runners in Sydney right back into the contest. And all of a sudden, it's not a one-horse affair. Add to that there's actually very little speed influence in this race. Everyone's most of them will have eyes for the Golden Rose in a couple of weeks' time over 1,400. So they don't want to be sitting on the speed and absolutely cooking themselves for that. Libertad, clearly the professional out of the San Domenico race, and you can make the case that a few from behind were actually running past him, such as, your Candidacy Abstract, which got back from a rough draw and ran on, your General Salutes and Butch Cassidy. But on the line, Libertad was actually holding and continuing to go away, and the 1,200 just looks to suit him perfectly. Butch Cassidy is the one that did run through the line, that after not much luck, that profiles to probably improve the most out of that San Domenico run. So I'm going to have a very small play on Butch Cassidy, double figure price, around $13. But I think those top 2 in the market, Cylinder and Libertad, they're the 2 that should be fighting out the finish. And I think that Butch might just try and run over the top late. But I'm hoping that we see Cylinder and Libertad bolt away from the field and really strike themselves as contenders for that Golden Rose.
It's a good assessment. I sat at my computer last night, Clance, dual screens, the whole lot, and I sat there for 45. I'm looking at honeymoon photos, and I tried 45 minutes. I tried to find a way to beat Cylinder, and I can't. Yep. So I just think he's the best bet on the program at Rosehill. I like that you mentioned his rating out of the vein at Caulfield versus his autumn stuff, and I think like where the ratings where you need to adjust there is that he's really going to appreciate getting back to the Sydney way of going. It's where he runs best. Nash on board out to 1200. Think he can be versatile enough. Hopefully lob 1-1 up on speed somewhere, and I think he's going to be very hard to beat. There's another horse I will spec at a big price too, and that is number 10, Nadal. Vamos. Last start won over 1,100 metres and produced one of the biggest last 6-4-200 splits ever seen on the Kensington track. It was 10.1 lengths inside the class average. So drawn tricky in 2. But if Jason Collett can sneak runs, find some clear air, he's a danger at a big price, big Rafa. He's sort of 21-1 at the moment. So Cylinder, I think, is the best bet on the program, but I'm going to certainly just have a small play on Rafa Nadal as well in the run to the Rose. Let's head now to race number 9, mate. It's the Group 2 Theo Marks Stakes for the 3-year-olds and upwards. It's handicap conditions. Kiku won the race last year. Other notable winners include Arcadia Queen in 2019 and, of course, Winx back in 2015.
Two of my favourites. Yeah, Arcadia Queen and Winx.
I knew. Are you keen to bet in this race? It's a really open betting field. Like, it's $6 the field basically, and it looks really challenging. This is one where I'm shouldering arms. I can find a lay bet amongst it all, but I'm be shouldering arms to actually finding a winner here, Clance.
Yeah, it's a fascinating first 100 here, because that 1,300 metres at Rosehill goes into the turn pretty quickly, and all the main speed engaged is from out wide in Tamer Lane, Nugget, and Crosstalk, and they're all first up. So how forward are they? It's going to be a fascinating first 100 metres. I was actually really hoping that the likes of Militarize and Zugotcha stayed in this race, because I had them marked a lot longer than the market, which has sort of hurt a couple of my bets. But so one that I touched on earlier, Argentia, I think lobs in a really good spot here and is just going extraordinarily well. Was 3 wide the entire way latest, and huge effort to get right back in it. So I think that she's a really good chance. The other one is that one that's going to go forward, and I'm hoping gets the rail, which is Tamer Lane. Has come off 2 absolute ripping trials and finds the front and is going to be right in it for a long way. Again, like, it was $16 yesterday into $11 already, so the market support's there. Cummings doing a lot of right things at the moment. A couple of other interesting runners in the race, the likes of Waterford, showed plenty of potential and has finally been gelded. I don't think that he's quite shown enough at the trials yet to get my money just yet. And then Kovalika is one that I'm keen to lay in this race, currently in the $4 range. Obviously, extraordinarily talented horse, but is going to be stretching out to the 2,000 and beyond. First up over the 1,300 when he'll be going back in the ruck. Really keen to take on at that price. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him get out to a 7, 8, 850 sort of mark. And so at the $4, I have to oppose him.
Yep, no, good call. Yeah, look, Crosstalk and Waterford would be the only ones that I could possibly entertain. Crosstalk drawing so wide, I'm like, oh, the danger getting across sort of mentioned. So I'll be staying out of there. I'm going to lay Kovalika in this race. It could be the best horse in the race, but just shy of best, and opening $6. That's way too short. That's priced on ability versus where placement today, and
it's priced on the punters saying, "Oh, I know this horse.
Yeah,
I love this horse. Let's back it." When it doesn't quite suit on this occasion.
Yeah, look, come up $6. I think Kovalika will be starting a lot longer than $6 come race time. So happy to lay at 6.
And what about the little champ from Tassie? Would obviously be close to your heart, I
The
imagine.
Inevitable. Yeah. Just a real... It is it's such a Tassie horse, just a little battler, gets the best out of himself. Had some transport issues in the previous sort of runs, so good to see that he's got up there and he's ready to roll. What did he win? You won the Silver Eagle, was it? It was one of the big races that he won up there.
Yeah, and then ran third in the All-Star Mile.
Yeah,
the last prep.
Yeah,
behind
that's right.
Mr.
A huge
Brightside.
price. Yeah, he's a ripper. So I know a few of the connections, and they've just had a terrific ride with that horse. That's what you sort of dream of from when your horse is trained out of 7 Mile Beach in just out of Hobart. So good on him, and all the best. But I'll be shouldering arms to that. Anything else there for you, mate?
The only other one that I will mention is if they do go pretty crazy up front, they're able to run on. Cuban Royale just looks over the odds to me. I've got marked around the $13 mark. It's sitting close to 30 to 1. So does know how to run some real nice sectionals late. One of the only horses is coming off a 2-week freshen. Way to go. So one that I could entertain for the exotics.
We've got a real mix of sort of $2.50 pops to $81 pops in today's show, Clance. So let's hope that we see a couple of those on either side of the fence get up for us.
You're throwing off darts, mate. Hopefully some of the bullseye.
It's time now to quickly wrap up and go through our unit plays, Clance. What is the Equine Genius doing this week, and how many units are we outlaying? Yeah,
for a week that I thought was actually going to be pretty difficult, I've ended up spreading them pretty far and wide, hoping to get a couple of roughies up. So we'll go to the Valley first, race 5, Steppity, that we both like, 1 unit the win. We're going to go to the feature at the Valley, Rothfire, 1 unit to finish top 2. Hopefully just hold on to the back of Giga Kick's tail and take him to the finish line. Rosehill race 6, Zapateo, 2 units to win. And we're also going to have a 1 unit on that exacta on the exchange with 6 to beat 5. So I am me to beat Zapateo. Race 7, a couple of roughies. Number 16, Cap Ferrat, half a unit. And Raff Attack, half a unit. And race 8, Butch Cassidy, half a unit. All big prices. Race 9, last bet of the day is Argentia, 1 unit the win. Tamer Lane, 1 unit the win. And we're going to lay Kovalika in the race. Just too short currently. Going to put up 3 units of liability.
I love it, mate. There's a good spread there, and I'm following you in at the Valley in the Mackenzie Stakes. Stapati, pretty keen, 2 units to win. In the Atlantic Jewel for the fillies, I'm siding with Pride of Sullivan, 1 unit to win, and Treasureway, 0.25 units to win. McEwen Stakes, Giga Kick, 2 units to win, and I'm laying Imperatriz for 2 units liability to place. In the feature, the Feehan Stakes, I'm really keen on the Boom Horse Globe, 2 units to win. Then we head up to Rosehill Gardens, and in the Shirako, I'm with I Am Me at 1.25 units. Zoo Gotcha, I'll spec her as well at 0.25 units. And then I'm going to lay Zapateo with a liability of 1.5 units.
Say goodbye to them.
Yeah. Head to the Ming Dynasty, and I'm going to back Vomo Island at a huge price, 0.15 units each way. In the Run to the Rose, Cylinder's my best bet up there, 2 units to win, and number 10, Nadal, 0.25 units to win. And then I'm the same as you, Clance, in the last, the Theo Marks. I'm going to lay Kovalika with a 3 unit liability, just far too short, opening up at $6. And that's how I'm going to play this weekend. It could be a real make or break, but when you're quietly confident, it can sometimes be the worst way to go about it with punting, isn't it?
Quietly is one way to describe what you've been today.
Terrific. I tried to make up for some ego missing Reece Goodwin, so I felt like I had to bring something extra to the table today. It's been fun though, just the dream team, Equine Genius and myself today, mate. All the best this weekend. Some terrific racing. All our listeners and viewers, all the best over the weekend. We'll catch you next week on Layback with Betfair.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.